What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, we are reviewing the first Leprechaun movie, and I gotta say, I remember watching it the first time. I watched it when it was a bit after I watched the first Chucky, and I remember liking it, and I would watch it every now and then, and this franchise, obviously, the first two, I would say, are kind of more on the, not serious, because I think you still have that Warwick Davis still, plays it kind of goofy, but he still it's definitely a lot more serious tone in the sense the kills are done more seriously, and it's not like a straight up comedy. I would even say really once it goes to space is even when it goes kind of comedic. But yeah, I'm gonna review the first three movies. I'm not gonna do the newer ones. I might down the line watch those, but I'm gonna probably just stick with the Warwick Davis ones. I'm not gonna do the new ones because from what I hear, I don't think Warwick is in either one of those. So, but I haven't watched it in probably 3 or 4 years. I think last time I watched it was 3 or 4 years ago. It was St. Patrick's Day, I think, but it still holds up. You have a young Jennifer Aniston before she got pretty big with Friends. I think this was a year before Friends. And I actually like her character. She starts off as this uber kind of, I'm scared kind of girl to she grows as a character. You have Nathan, who's basically a love interest. I think her dad, Nathan, not her dad, Nathan, but her dad. And then you got this kind of comedy kind of character named Ozzy. He's the dumb kind of oaf character, and then a kid character. He's actually not annoying. I'll admit, it was a kind of fun kind of movie. I love the practical effects. I love some of the kills. I actually like the opening where it kind of they explain the origin of the not the leprechaun himself, but his want for the gold. That this guy, I don't remember his name, but he ends up buying. He's a guy from Ireland who ends up stealing the gold from the leprechaun, and the leprechaun comes back, kills his wife, and the guy puts it in a crate with clovers. So that's where we learn it's the origin of its basically weakness against the leprechaun's weakness against clovers. And then jump 10 years later to 1993. So when the film came out, that's what the character's name was. JD, who's the father, and his daughter Tori move in, and one day Ozzy mistakenly lets out the leprechaun who's been in there the whole time. Warwick Davis, every time he plays the leprechaun, I think he does it so well. I think it's one of the big highlights of watching these movies is just he has so much fun with the character. I thought in this one he plays it really well. I like they don't go too into the backstory of the actual backstory of the leprechaun itself. This one is just, it's there. The leprechaun wants the gold. That's it. They kind of keep it simple that way. But yeah, Warwick Davis had fun. I love some of the kills. The pogo stick kill was pretty funny. So basically, Ozzy and the kid find the gold because they follow the end of the rainbow. When they end up finding the gold, they try to pawn it off to get some money, while Nathan is this guy who's a contractor fixing the house. And basically the leprechaun learns that his gold is missing, and he starts killing people and wants to get his gold back. So that's kind of the simple plot of the movie. I thought everyone did a decent job. I love the final act. The scene where he gets shot with the clover. They put a clover in a shotgun and shoot him in the face, and he starts melting. And I love the effects of that. That looks so good. It's a simple story. It's pretty. There's some not gory kills, but the scene where Nathan gets his leg fucked up in a trap, I thought that was pretty brutal. The kills are pretty good. It's a solid little horror movie. they actually are able to make the Leprechaun feel like a threat, even though it's a Leprechaun. It's like the same kind of like with Chucky. They're able to actually make this premise work. Because on paper, yeah, a killer Leprechaun, yeah, that sounds kind of goofy. And yeah, they do play more into that in the later films. But I would say this one, I have to watch the second one again. I don't really remember the second one. I do remember the second one being slightly about the same tone as the first, but I don't remember a lot of it. So, but yeah, like they were able to make it work and it not feel like goofy and it's believable. So, overall, awesome horror flick. I definitely recommend it. If you don't want to watch the sequels, that's fine. I would watch them just to see like how over the top Warwick Davis can play the character. That'd be like the only reason I'd even say to watch the sequels, but definitely I think they're worth watching personally, but I understand. Like the first Leprechaun can be watched by itself. Like it can be if you think the sequels go too far and over the top, you could watch the first Leprechaun as like a one-off and it works. So I would give this film like a probably a 9.5 out of 10. Pretty really good film. So yeah. Tomorrow I'll be doing Trick or Treat. I love that anthology. The character of Sam is just great, but the whole anthology itself is a pretty good cast, solid horror anthology. Very underrated movie. I feel like it's one that doesn't get talked about a lot. So I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. I can't wait. Probably will be doing that in the morning or during the day because I'm probably not going to be available at night tomorrow. So, but yeah, we're going to get started here. But the movie starts in 1983. Man comes back with a bunch of gold that he stole from the Leprechaun. Initially, he's celebrating, but then he realizes the Leprechaun has followed him, and the Leprechaun kills his wife by causing her to like fall over. And then he tries to chase him. He initially is able to trap the Leprechaun in a crate and put a clover on top of it because he remembers that the Leprechaun's weakness is clovers. And when he's about to set it on fire, he ends up getting a stroke. And granted, we learned he didn't die, but he ended up getting a stroke before he was able to complete it. We jump 10 years later. We meet JD and his daughter Tori. Tori initially is like kind of grossed out by the house, and because she's like, it's like your typical, she's like a city kind of, or I think it's city, but city girl who isn't used to living out in like the wilderness, not the wilderness, but like in like the farm land and more in the middle of nowhere. She initially wants to leave, but she gets picked on by one of the contractors named like, and she's like your kind of typical, it starts off like she's your spoiled girl who like she thinks she could just kind of get everything with money kind of deal. And it's like crazy, like a little movie like this had an arc for a character like her. Like she goes through a little arc where she goes from that kind of girl to like she actually starts caring about others and kind of stepping up. So, but yeah, strong women didn't exist before 2016. But so she agrees to stay, and she starts, basically they kind of start setting up like the romance with her and Nathan, who's a contractor trying to renovate the house. And I actually thought they had some decent chemistry. It didn't feel forced or anything. We also meet Ozzy and this little kid. They're like also part of the family, and Ozzy's like your comic relief character. And I think it's fine. Like, I'm not against comic relief characters. It's just when they go over, they rely too much on it. But I think they used them the right amount. So one day while renovating, he hears the leprechaun still alive in the crate, mimics like a voice of a child, thinking like, which ends up fooling Ozzy, and he basically tells Ozzy he wants his gold back, and he's like a shoe shiner, and like that's a theme throughout the film, which they kind of do abandon in some of the later ones. It's the whole he like shines shoes thing. Um, so after that, Ozzy ends up seeing a rainbow, and because they initially don't believe him about I saw a leprechaun and all this shit. So he ends up falling the rainbow, and this is where they find the gold, and they try to make money off of it. While the leprechaun kills because kind of like in some of the later ones, he kills anybody who's attached to and knows where the gold is. And I thought the first kill was pretty creative. He kills a guy with a pogo stick. It was pretty funny. Like the kills aren't like obviously gonna be uberly brutal because this is not like it's not like Jason. Granted, he kills like a cop also later, which I'll admit that was kind of a brutal kill. But yeah, so they end up getting money while Tori and Nathan get to know each other. And Tori is not a bad character. Like, you would think on paper she would be annoying, but I think Jennifer Aniston plays her pretty well, and makes me kind of like, I wish she did more horror movies, but this is like a year before Friends, so it's like once she got Friends is just. But I actually really think that she was really good in this. Probably one of her more underrated roles that a lot of people probably don't even bring up. So, so after that, the Leprechaun gets like a little cart, which is kind of funny, and he kills a cop who tries to pull him over because the cop thinks he's like a kid or something. So after killing them, this is where basically the group realizes the Leprechaun's a thing, and the Leprechaun attacks them, plants a trap where Nathan gets a shotgun and tries to kill it, but he ends up getting caught and in like a trap, and I'll admit that was pretty brutal. Like anything to do with legs just always gets me. So Tori has to get the gun, but they end up managing to shoot the Leprechaun, but the Leprechaun survives it, and you end up killing Ollie, which is sad. I actually feel bad for not Ollie, Ozzy, I think that's what his name was. Feel bad for him when he died, but overall, like, you like these characters. The kills are pretty decent. Like, it's just Warwick Davis, I think, in every one of these movies. I think this one I like the most, though. It's just because I do like that they don't go too into his backstory. That this one is just he wants his gold. And then that's like pretty much they work around that. They realize that the original owner of the house is still alive and he's living in like a nursing home. So they go to him, but the Leprechaun poses as I think that's now I remember the character's name. The character's name was McGrady, and poses as McGrady, gets in and causes havoc. They convince McGrady to tell them like how to beat it, and they convince him with they convince him how to beat the Leprechaun, and Nathan gets a shotgun, and throughout the film you see Tori like actually go from like, yeah, this girl who was like literally scared of everything to having to step up. Like, I do miss characters like that where they actually had an arc within a film, and like they start from point A and they actually do grow as a character. Like, she starts stepping up and caring about others, trying to protect others, even putting herself in dangerous positions. And she's a one-off character because you don't see her in any of the other films. So it's like, I just think like I just miss that kind of writing. But anyway, so they managed to defeat the Leprechaun by shooting it in the face with a clover-loaded shotgun. And that effect, when you see him, like, his body melting, looks so good. I think that's why I do really appreciate those old horror films from, like, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, is those effects were just so good. They end up basically, he's still alive, but then they throw gasoline on, and because he's like in a car or a truck, and then they blow him up, seemingly killing it. But then in the end, you hear the Leprechaun swear he's gonna get his gold back. So like I like that with movie sequel tease, but it could also work as a solid ending. Like it works as it's still alive, but it could still be a one-off film. But overall, the first Leprechaun is so good. It's an iconic one, I think. I like how they were able to take a premise like a killer leprechaun and actually make it work and it not feel goofy is crazy. It's the same with like, Chucky, the concept of a killer doll is the same thing. Like they're able to make it work. Granted, Warwick Davis is a legend. I mean, Warwick Davis is also in Star Wars. So, and he's been in a lot of other movies, so he's a great like character actor. So I think he plays this role really good. And even in like a lot of like obviously in the Hood movies or even Leprechaun in Space, he manages to like make that character work. So I think that's why it's worth watching the sequels for me. Is you could just to see him have fun with his character is awesome. So yeah, overall, the first Leprechaun is great. I love the effects. You have decent characters, solid kills. It's kind of isolated because they're like the middle of nowhere kind of thing. So yeah, very underrated movie overall. I would probably give this one, like I said, a 9.5 out of 10. I heavily recommend it. Even if you don't want to watch the sequels, you can watch it as a one-off film about the concept of a killer leprechaun winning his gold back. But besides that, it's a great film that I thought started a decent franchise. So Leprechaun 2 I'll be doing next week. Tomorrow, Trick or Treat, which I cannot wait for. I love that film. The way they were able to do the 3 stories and make it work, because it's like multiple stories, because it's an anthology. But they do tie them together though, too, in a way. I fucking love it. So awesome film. I cannot wait to watch it. So more than likely, we'll be watching it tomorrow. We'll be watching it tonight and then reviewing it tomorrow.
I know there's a fight going on next door, and somebody is.
Hold on. There you go. Sorry about that. I was watching something. But yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome film, so I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow. I'll watch that tonight. But yeah, Leprechaun 1 is great, so I heavily recommend. But as usual, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Fuck the Biden administration. Peace.